What's going on, guys? Antonio here. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up for me. Let's get into it. All right, so I just finished the Katt Williams follow-up interview with Willie D. I'm just gonna cut right to it. I thought this was kind of boring, and it wasn't because of Katt. I've watched a few of Willie. He had that Ghetto Boys podcast with Scarface. Ghetto Boy, first of all, let me just say this because it's going to sound like I'm hating on Willie D. Ghetto Boys was one of my favorite groups coming up. They was representing the South. I'm a son of the South. I'm from Alabama and grew up in Tennessee. So the Ghetto Boys having down South rappers like Ghetto Boys and Outkast, that really meant something. 8 Ball, MJG, all these Southern hip hop groups. Somebody like, Scarface, Bushwick Bill, Willie D, the Ghetto Boys was, in Rap-A-Lot Records, the whole nine. So Willie D is a personal hero of mine. I'm a big fan. I've watched a few of his interviews. I got to be honest. He be talking about stuff, but he's a lot more compelling on the microphone as a musical artist. I have to be honest. And I've watched a few of his videos where he does social commentary and whatnot. I gotta be honest, I don't always enjoy his interviews. And before he put this up, he was on Instagram. He posted on Instagram. It's like, oh, we about to break the internet again. If you look here on the YouTube page, Katt Williams goes in again, clears the air after breaking the internet. Now, I saw a couple of other YouTubers reacting to this video, and one guy actually said, was this an old podcast? Because if you watch the interview, he doesn't talk about anything that he talked about in Shannon Sharpe's interview was just taped a few days ago. That's a fact. It was taped in 2024. It was taped this year. Now, so I did some research because I was like, that's weird that he didn't mention any of because some of the comedians have responded since Katt called him out on Club Shay Shay, right? And you on Instagram, and I mean Willie D, he's on Instagram, it's like, hey, we about to break the internet again, it's about to go viral, blah, blah, blah. And when we get to the interview's an hour long, he doesn't address any of the people that responded to him. He doesn't even ask the question. And I'm sitting there going, he clearly watched Shannon's interview with Katt. And I'm sitting there going, okay, so you watched that, but you didn't ask the question? I'm like, what's going on there, brother? I'm like, but like I said, there was another YouTuber and he said, was this an old interview? He said, because he didn't ask any of those questions, it make me wonder if he just had this in the can, or maybe he was like, it wasn't good and he decided not to put it out, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes you interview somebody and you be like, this ain't very good. And I'm like I said, there's no there. You watch the interview and there's not really much there. It's done the numbers. It's been up 24 hours. It's done over 3 million views. Now Shannon's has been up 7 days. It's over 40 million. I know he was on the Nightcap show with Chad Ochocinco, and they were talking about, he was trying to see could he tie or beat Joe Rogan's record. Joe Rogan had the top 2 podcast interviews on YouTube. One was at 58 million and the other one was at 32 million. They were the top 2 clips for podcasts on YouTube. Now he's at 40 million, so he's at number 2. So he needs to get to 58 million to beat Joe Rogan overall. But that's what he was saying. But so he's in the number 2 spot because he's got 40 million in 7 days. I think he's going to hit the 50. I don't know if he's going to get 58, but there's so many people still sharing clips and memes from Shannon Sharpe's interview that he might get there. But like I said, this interview that Willie D did with Katt was kind of boring. I got to be honest. I got to keep it a stack. There was no there. There was nothing. And it just didn't, I was like, I've watched Shannon's interview with Katt a couple of times. I was like, wow, he was really dropping a lot of game, and just, some people, oh, hey, Katt's a hater. And I was like, I don't know if I would consider, I feel like Katt was speaking his truth, and then the other comedians responded and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, like Willie D, I've listened to the Ghetto Boys podcast that he did with Scarface a few times. They had some interesting guests on there, like Corey Holcomb and stuff, and I listened to those interviews. But I gotta be honest, especially when Willie's on his own, I thought him and Scarface played off each other very well. But him and Scarface are taking a break from each other. They've kind of had a falling out because Scarface, Willie D talked about this. Scarface was invited to the Grammys to participate in that big 50th anniversary of hip hop celebration. So they had Scarface on the stage doing his verse for My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, which of course Willie D was on that song too. And Willie D was like, you really selfish. Why would you agree to perform when you know I'm right here? And they purposely didn't add. Now, the reason I'm saying that is if you watch Willie D's channel, you know he talks a lot about social issues. He talks about racism, police brutality, all this. He talks about stuff like that. So he tends to have been painted with that controversy brush. So because of that, a lot of people thought maybe the Grammys didn't want to have Willie D perform on their stage because of some of the things he says on social media that are kind of like hot button topics. But Scarface, he just does his thing. So it's like, oh, let's have Scarface. Now you can say, hey, Scarface shouldn't have performed without Willie D. Obviously, Bushwick passed away a few years ago, but Scarface, you know, you could be like, hey, Scarface. But I mean, I understand that Scarface was like, hey, this is a big opportunity, and millions of people saw that performance. It's on YouTube now, and it's getting millions of views. People, you know, it's 50th anniversary of hip hop. Everybody's really celebrating hip hop right now. But I can understand from Willie D's perspective and why he called Scarface out for not, you know, saying, hey, my partner is still around, and why are you asking me and not asking him? So they stopped doing the podcast. The last podcast was in April last year. Like I said, I don't know if this interview with Katt is brand new or not. Katt is in Texas. He has got a show in Austin, Texas on Friday, January the 12th. I looked on his website the last time he was in Texas. Before that, he played a show in Houston, where obviously, if you know about the Ghetto Boys from Houston. So part of me is like, did Katt record this interview with Willie D back in September when he was playing at the NRG arena, where the Houston, Texas play? Katt was in town. He was in Houston in September of 2023. So there's a good chance that this interview, since he didn't talk about any of the new stuff, was taped months ago. And Willie D sat on it. And then Shannon did the interview with Katt, and it blew. And he was like, yo, let me go and put this out. Even though I thought it was bad, and I didn't put it out. So there's a good chance. But that's the same, if you look on, that's the same necklace that Katt was wearing on the Shannon Sharp podcast, the Club Shay Shay podcast. It says woke. So I don't know if it was a new interview. Willie D did a really piss poor job of interviewing. It wasn't very good. But if you saw it or you disagree, get in the comments. I'd love to hear what you got to say about it. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, X, and I'm on Threads, all at Ikari Press. Go to IkariPress.com to check out my comic brand, Way of the Gun. It is the second chapter in the brand saga. And obviously, SouthernMuffin.com for you couples. Valentine's Day is coming up. You want to put a little spice in your life, go to SouthernMuffin.com.